Have you ever noticed that it often doesn't matter how beautiful, intelligent, or devoted a woman is, the man by her side still doesn't truly appreciate her? It feels as if he doesn't even see what she does, as if her efforts are invisible. And that is where the deep frustration begins. She wonders, what am I lacking? Is it my looks, the way I speak? Or does he simply not love me? The truth is, that's not the issue. In the male psyche, there is something deeper that few people understand. Today, I want to show you that men only truly value a woman through 3 very specific attitudes. And the surprising part, almost no one practices these attitudes in everyday life. That's why many women end up in relationships where they give everything and yet receive only fragments of attention, affection, and respect. Others, who seem to give much less, are placed on a pedestal because they touch those invisible points in the male mind that are so powerful. And let me say this right away. This is not about manipulation, not about playing games, and not about pretending to be someone else. On the contrary, these are simple, authentic attitudes that require more courage than perfection. But that is exactly the problem. Most people don't dare to apply them because they go against what so-called common sense teaches about relationships. That's why only a few women truly succeed in being valued by a man. Think about it. How often have you heard advice like, always be available, show as much love as possible, or always put him first? Sounds nice, doesn't it? But in practice, it has the opposite effect. As soon as a man realizes he gets everything, without effort, without challenge, without clear boundaries, his mind automatically switches off the appreciation switch. What you get for free, without a standard, loses its value. That is human nature, and in the male world even more so. Here lies the secret. A man only truly begins to appreciate when he perceives 3 very specific behaviors. These 3 trigger respect, admiration, and lasting desire. They pull him out of autopilot mode and make him see you as unique and irreplaceable. The impressive thing is, these attitudes don't depend on beauty, age, or status. Every woman can apply them if she has clarity and emotional strength. And before we go through these 3 fundamental points, make sure you stay until the end of this video. Each individual attitude already makes a difference, but when you combine all 3 in the right order, the effect on how a man sees you is overwhelming. Maybe you're asking yourself now, is this really true? I understand you. Life has already shown you that things don't always work logically, that you've often given everything and received nothing in return. But here lies the difference. What I am about to reveal is not based on assumptions or nice sayings, but on pure male psychology, simply explained so that you understand how his mind truly works. And if I may give you a warning in advance, this knowledge changes not only the way you deal with men, but also the way you see yourself. Because when you understand which attitudes awaken appreciation, you begin to recognize your own value, and that's when the real magic happens. It's no longer about begging for attention or waiting for recognition. You simply become someone who cannot be overlooked. In the end, you will see it's not expensive gifts, not long messages in the middle of the night, and not endless declarations of love that make a man appreciate you. It's exactly these 3, simple and at the same time astonishing attitudes. And once you live them, you will feel the difference, I don't know, not only in his gaze, but also in the balance of your relationship. Because a man who truly values cares, a man who truly values respects, and a man who truly values doesn't let you go. So if you are tired of being underestimated, if you are tired of giving so much and receiving so little in return, stay until the end. Because from today, you hold in your hand the key that almost no one reveals. The first attitude that ensures a man truly values a woman is setting clear boundaries from the beginning. And by that, I don't mean building cold walls or deliberately distancing yourself, but showing very clearly and naturally what you will accept in a relationship and what is never an option for you. Many women believe they can only win a man over if they are always understanding, tolerant, and open to everything. In reality, however, the opposite happens. As soon as a man realizes he can cross every boundary without consequences, his brain understands there is no real value here. It's like a game without rules, and that quickly loses its appeal. Picture a simple situation. A man makes plans with you but keeps arriving late without letting you know. If you act as if it's no problem, he internalizes the message that your time has no value. But if you calmly and clearly show him that you won't accept such behavior, he understands, even unconsciously, that he must change if he wants to keep you. Exactly these kinds of boundaries, set consistently from the very beginning, send a signal of respect in the male mind. And where respect arises, appreciation grows. The core is men test boundaries, sometimes completely unconsciously. It's as if their mind is programmed to check how far they can go. If they meet someone who doesn't dare to say no, this instinct quickly gets used to it and stops seeing value. But if he meets a woman who can clearly say, "Enough," who knows what she deserves and shows it, an inner alarm goes off. This woman is not like the others. I need to pay attention to her. Maybe you're thinking now, if I set boundaries he might pull away from me. Yes, that can happen. But if a man withdraws just because you show him you won't tolerate everything, then he would never have truly valued you anyway. Distance in this case is not a loss, but protection. You sought out early someone who would not have respected you regardless. But the one who stays, even after experiencing your boundaries, is the one who begins to see you with truly different eyes. What's important here? Setting boundaries doesn't mean giving long speeches or obsessing over every detail. It's about consistency. It's about making clear, with small gestures, that your life has certain ground rules. If he only contacts you when it suits him, you don't need to beg for more attention. You simply don't accept the minimum. If he promises you something and doesn't keep it, you don't have to create a scandal. It's enough not to act as if nothing happened. Exactly this quiet consistency touches the male psyche deeply. Men value what requires effort. That is almost instinctive. Since ancient times, the male mindset has been shaped by hunting, conquering, and overcoming obstacles. When everything is easy and no standards exist, this instinct shuts down. But when there is a clear line that cannot be crossed, his mind immediately switches into conquest mode. He begins to see you as someone who cannot be treated however he pleases, and that automatically creates respect. Think about it yourself. How many times have you been in situations where you knew you should set a boundary but didn't? How many times have you tolerated behavior that hurt you just to avoid conflict? And what was the result? Most likely, the man didn't change. On the contrary, he realized he could continue, maybe even worse. That is exactly what happens when boundaries are missing. His mind has no reason to change anything. And here comes the harsh but liberating truth. A man only truly values when he understands that he can lose you. And he only understands that if you show him that there is a line, and crossing it has consequences. This is the first attitude that almost no one applies, but it separates women who are underestimated from those who are truly respected and valued. So remember, setting boundaries does not drive away a valuable man. On the contrary, it draws him closer, because real men don't run from strong women, they respect them. The second attitude that ensures a man truly values a woman is keeping your own life at the center, even in a relationship. And before anyone thinks this means selfishness or coldness, let me make it clear right away that's not the point. It's not about ignoring the man or living as if he doesn't matter. It's about understanding this. If you turn off your own light just to brighten his life, sooner or later he will no longer see your glow. Men are naturally drawn to women who have their own lives, who have plans, interests, and dreams that go beyond the relationship. This awakens something very powerful in the male psyche: admiration. And admiration is the foundation of appreciation. Without admiration, the relationship becomes routine, a burden, a duty. Think of a typical scene. At the beginning of the relationship, you had your own projects, hobbies, friends, and commitments. He saw you as a woman full of energy, independent, with a vibrant life. And that's exactly what fascinated him. But over time, many women make the mistake of giving all that up, reorganizing their entire life around him. They cancel plans, let go of dreams, put the relationship above everything. And that is precisely when, unconsciously, their value begins to decline. Why? Because the man realizes that he no longer has to make an effort to be part of your life. Your life is already built around him. Here lies a truth that hardly anyone speaks out loud. What keeps a man's interest alive is not being at the center, but the feeling that he has to fight for a place in the life of a woman who is whole, even without him. When a woman maintains her routine, continues to take care of herself, pursues her projects, she sends a quiet but powerful message. I am with you because I want to, not because I have to. That difference changes everything in a man's mind. Because as soon as he understands that you have options, that you are not emotionally dependent on him, that your life is valuable even without him, it triggers a powerful mechanism in him, the fear of losing you. And that fear fuels appreciation. What's important? Keeping your own life in focus doesn't mean being rigid or rejecting closeness. It means balance, being present in the relationship without ever giving up what defines you. It means making it clear to him, even though I love you, I don't stop loving myself. Imagine a woman who loves dancing passionately. As soon as she meets someone, she stops taking classes because he doesn't like it. At first, he might even see that as a proof of love. But over time, she takes away a piece of her own identity. She loses her radiance, and he loses admiration. If, on the other hand, she keeps dancing even without his involvement, what happens then? He sees her happy, he sees her energy, and he feels proud to be with a woman who doesn't give up her glow. That creates respect. Men value women who don't give themselves up, because deep inside they know if a woman is willing to give up on herself, one day she will also accept being given up on by him. That makes the relationship easily replaceable. But if he sees that you preserve your identity even within the relationship, his mind registers, this woman does not exist because of me. I need to make sure I don't lose my place in her life. Maybe you have already experienced the opposite when you gave everything up, devoted yourself 100%, made the relationship the only center of your life. What was the result? Most likely, you didn't receive more attention, but less. You weren't valued more, but less. That happens because a man only truly values what he perceives as rare. And a woman who keeps her own life is rare. A woman who doesn't extinguish herself, who doesn't shrink, who doesn't abandon her dreams out of convenience. That is a woman a man cannot ignore. So remember, a man doesn't value you because you completely give yourself up. He values you because even in your devotion, you remain yourself. That is the second attitude that almost no one lives by, but that changes everything. The third attitude that ensures a man truly values a woman is recognizing and celebrating his worth, but selectively and honestly. And here lies a huge difference between recognition and flattery. Many women believe they need to constantly praise him, endlessly reassure him of how great he is, just to keep his interest. But the male psyche notices immediately when recognition is exaggerated or comes from neediness. Instead of sparking appreciation, it breeds complacency. I don't have to make an effort, I get the validation anyway. The secret is to show recognition intentionally, genuinely, and above all, selectively. When he realizes that you don't praise everything, that your words carry weight, he begins to see every compliment as an achievement. That awakens in him a strong feeling. I need to keep earning this. Don't get me wrong, this is not about manipulation, but about a basic principle of human psychology. We all value more what is harder to get. If there were a coin lying on every street corner, no one would bother to pick it up. But when something is rare, not available to everyone, its value increases enormously. That is exactly what happens with praise and recognition that come from a woman. When you acknowledge a truly good attitude, when you celebrate one of his achievements, when you show him that you have noticed his effort, his brain links you to the feeling of victory. He is proud that you recognized it. But if you acknowledge everything without filter, the effect disappears. He then believes he no longer has to grow because the validation is already guaranteed. A simple example: a man comes home tired from work and still prepares something for you. If you genuinely value this gesture and show him that you recognized his effort, he immediately understands it was worth it. The next time, he's even more motivated to repeat it. But if he just does something trivial, like getting up from the couch to grab a glass of water, and you treat him as if he were a hero, the recognition gradually loses its weight. He understands, I don't need to make an effort. Even the smallest thing brings applause. The key idea is selectivity. It's about acknowledging when there is real merit, when effort, dedication, or courage are visible. And it should be clear that it's not only the result that matters, but especially the effort. This creates an invisible bond. He feels truly seen, not just praised for the sake of it. Another important point: selective recognition creates space for him to want to give more. Men move through challenges when they understand that recognition does not come automatically. They make more effort to earn it. And the more effort he invests, the more he values you, because he unconsciously connects you with his own growth. Here lies the part that hardly anyone understands. A man values a woman who can give recognition because deep inside he also needs it in order to feel like a man. It's not about artificially inflating him, but about strengthening his identity as someone who makes a difference. When you acknowledge him sincerely, you not only nurture his self-esteem, you also create a bond of loyalty. He begins to see you as the woman who inspires him to become better. Of course, balance is necessary. Recognition does not mean accepting everything. You cannot simply cover up behaviors that don't fit in a relationship, like disappearing, failing, or not making an effort, with praise. Recognition only carries weight if it comes together with clear boundaries and your emotional independence, the two attitudes we discussed earlier. Do you notice how the three are connected? Setting boundaries shows respect. Keeping your own life in focus shows self-respect. And selective recognition shows that you can truly value the other. This combination is rare, and that's why so few women are genuinely valued. That is exactly why a man never forgets a woman who embodies all of this. In the end, the male psyche is simple. It values what is not easy to obtain, what requires effort, and what he can be proud of. And these three attitudes give him exactly that. Now that you understand which three attitudes ensure that a man truly values a woman, I want to show you how it works in practice, through stories and examples that may seem simple, but that reveal exactly how the male mind reacts. Imagine the story of Anna. She started dating a man named Daniel. At first, it was like many relationships: constant messages, meetings full of excitement, declarations of love. But as the months passed, Daniel began to show behaviors that could become problematic. He arrived late, without warning, cancelled dates at the last minute, and expected Anna to always be available. What would the most common reaction have been? Looking the other way out of fear of losing the relationship. But Anna chose the first attitude. She set boundaries. When Daniel changed plans at short notice for the first time, she responded calmly but firmly. Look, if it doesn't work out, that's fine, but I won't always be available. I have other things to do. Daniel's reaction was immediate. First surprise. He wasn't used to that. Then respect. From that point on, he started to organize himself better. Why? because he understood that he couldn't just do whatever he wanted. Anna didn't win through harshness, but by showing my time has value. Now think of Julia, a woman full of life, passionate about photography. When she began her relationship with Marcelo, she kept her passion alive, continued going on photo tours, attended workshops, and shared her enthusiasm. Many of her friends told her, "You should tone that down a little to spend more time with him." But Julia understood the second attitude, keeping her own life at the center. The result? Marcelo never took her for granted, quite the opposite. He admired Julia precisely because he saw her as an independent woman who didn't need him to be happy. That made him proud to introduce her to his friends and deepened his desire to be by her side. Every time he saw her fulfilled, he thought, "I can't lose this woman. She is unique." And then there is Carla. Unlike the others, Carla always had the tendency to praise her partners too much. But in a new relationship with Andre, she decided to change something. Instead of praising every little detail, Carla began to value only what truly mattered. When Andre made an effort to organize a surprise for her birthday, she made it clear how much it meant to her. When he showed patience in a difficult situation, she recognized it sincerely. The result was astonishing. Andre wanted to make more and effort, because he understood that Carla's recognition was not guaranteed, not free. He knew he had to earn it. That is the third attitude, selective and genuine recognition. Look closely at how these stories reveal something fundamental. These are not attitudes that require impossible effort. They don't depend on money, looks, or status. They are choices of mindset. And each one completely changes how a man perceives a woman. Now I want you to reflect on your own life. How often have you stopped setting boundaries out of fear of losing someone? How often have you put yourself aside, hoping it would bring him closer to you? How often have you overpraised just to please? Maybe you have already realized that these choices did not work. And they didn't work because they did not spark respect, did not inspire admiration, and did not create motivation. But here's the good news. It is possible to change things, no matter if you've been in a relationship for a long time or are just about to start one. As soon as you begin to apply these three attitudes, clear boundaries, your own life, and selective recognition, the dynamic shifts. The man stops seeing you as something to be taken for granted and starts perceiving you as something special, irreplaceable. And maybe you're wondering, but what if he doesn't accept it? What if he leaves? Then let me tell you this. If a man cannot accept a woman who values herself, then he would never have been capable of truly appreciating her anyway. The one who stays, the one who remains by your side, even in the face of these attitudes, is the one who sees you as you deserve to be seen. Now, you know, men only truly value a woman because of three attitudes that almost no one lives by. And when you think about it, these three fit together like pieces of a puzzle. The first is setting clear boundaries. That shows that you respect yourself, that your time is valuable, that you don't tolerate everything. The second is keeping your own life at the forefront, even within a relationship. That shows him a woman who is whole, independent, and radiant in her own light. And the third is recognizing selectively and honestly. That sparks admiration, creates motivation, and drives him to make an effort to deserve to be by your side. Now, imagine the effect of these three attitudes combined. You become a woman who not only attracts a man's attention, but also keeps it. You become a woman who doesn't have to chase after someone because her very presence naturally inspires appreciation. And most importantly, you don't just gain his respect, you learn above all to respect yourself. And that's exactly what many women overlook, that the appreciation they so deeply long for actually begins within themselves. When you value yourself, when you recognize your own worth and show it in every one of your attitudes, you create an energy that no one can ignore. It's as if you're saying without words, "I know who I am, I know what I deserve, and I accept nothing less. Men feel that. They may not be able to put it into words, but they sense it, and that feeling changes their behavior. A man who encounters a woman with this attitude does not treat her as an option, he treats her as a priority. So now think about your own life. Maybe you've already experienced situations where you gave everything, gave up your dreams, praised too much, and still weren't appreciated. That wasn't because you weren't enough. It happened because you hadn't applied these attitudes that touch the deepest part of the male psyche: respect, admiration, and the need to hold on to what he must not lose. And let me be honest with you, it's not easy to change this overnight. Setting boundaries takes courage. Putting your own life first takes discipline. Selective and honest recognition takes emotional intelligence. But the reward is enormous, because when you live these attitudes, you stop begging for love and begin to build relationships in which you are naturally valued. And do you know what's most liberating about it? You stop fearing loss because you understand this. If a man does not accept your boundaries, does not support your dreams, and does not make an effort to earn recognition, then he does not deserve a place in your life. And as soon as this natural filter takes effect, you attract men who truly know how to value you. So if I may leave you with one final message, it is this: don't be afraid to be clear. Don't be afraid to put yourself first. Don't be afraid to acknowledge only what truly has value. Because exactly these three simple yet powerful attitudes are the key to how men see you. And if you've stayed with me until now, it's because you want more than crumbs. You want a relationship with reciprocity, respect, and genuine appreciation. Starting today, you know how to walk that path. Before we finish, I have two small requests. First, if this video has opened your eyes and given you clarity, share it with other women who need to hear this. Believe me, hardly anyone speaks openly about these truths. Second, leave me a comment below. I want to know which of these three attitudes you already live by, and which one you feel you still need to grow into. Your experience can inspire other women walking the same path. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now is the perfect time. Here you'll always find content that explains male psychology clearly, directly, and without sugarcoating, so that you never again feel lost in a relationship.